15 years ago, Omega healer Javier Morales was blamed for the death of the Alpha King's newborn son. The palace called him a murderer. The Pax hunted him. The Alpha King signed the order for his death, but the child was never dead. He returns years later with a teenage boy carrying the royal mark and a secret that powerful families tried to bury. The missing heir is alive. He also calls Javier Papa. As old betrayals come to light, the Alpha King must choose between protecting the throne and admitting the mistake that cost him both his son and the man he loved. This is an emotional Omegaverse romance about rejection, hidden heirs, forbidden love, family betrayal, forgiveness, and the meaning of fatherhood. If you enjoy stories like this, please like this video, subscribe to BL Heartstring Stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new adventure. The first person to recognize Gabriel Castillo's missing son was not Gabriel. Impossible. Some stared at the boy's face. A silver crescent surrounded by 3 dark lines. The royal mark of the Castillo bloodline. The same mark Gabriel carried over his heart. The same mark recorded on his newborn son 15 years earlier before the child was declared dead. The guards began to kneel. One after another they lowered themselves into the snow, until an entire line of armed wolves bowed before the boy beside me. Mateo tightened his fingers around mine. Papa. He was trying not to sound frightened. He was 15 years old, nearly as tall as I was, with broadening shoulders and dark hair that refused to stay neat. But in that moment, he looked like the 5-year-old boy who used to crawl into my bed during storms. "I'm here," I told him. Across the border, Gabriel Castillo stood perfectly still. He had once been the most beautiful man I knew. Hatred would have been easier if age had made him cruel to look at. His eyes moved from Mateo to me. For 15 years I had imagined this moment. In my worst dreams he looked at Mateo and saw nothing. Gabriel looked at his son with the expression of a man seeing a ghost. Mateo stepped behind me. That movement broke something in Gabriel's face. The guards raised their heads. "Don't," I said. Gabriel stopped. It did not need to be. "Javier, Your Majesty." He had always hated when I used his title. Once, long ago, before the crown, the trial, and the exile, he had asked me never to call him that when we were alone. I no longer believed we ever would be. Gabriel looked at Mateo. "What is his name?" The question was barely more than a breath. Mateo answered before I could. "Mateo Morales." The guards exchanged glances. "Morales. He is my son," I said. Something dangerous passed through the wolves around us. The Alpha King's power moved through the air. Gabriel did not shift. "He carries my mark. He carries my blood. Then don't call him your son." Mateo moved before I could stop him. He stepped from behind me and faced the Alpha King. "He raised me," he said. "He fed me. He taught me. He sat beside me every time I was sick. You are a stranger." Gabriel stared at the boy he had mourned for 15 years. The boy stared back without recognition. The second came when Mateo reached for my hand again. Gabriel saw it. Every wolf at the gate saw it. The missing heir of the northern Pax had returned, and he belonged to the Omega they had condemned. My name is Javier Morales. I was 20 then. Young enough to believe innocence would protect me. My mother was the village midwife. My father repaired farm equipment and spoke very little. Their name appeared on court buildings, schools, and military halls. I became a healer because my mother believed knowledge should be useful. She taught me how to reduce a fever before I could properly read. At 12, I could set a broken finger. At 16, I delivered my first child. At 20, the Royal Medical Council invited me to train at the capital. He was not king then. I first saw him sitting shirtless on an examination table with blood running down his side. He had been injured during a border patrol. 3 senior healers stood around him, arguing over who should remove the silver fragment lodged beneath his ribs. "You," he said. "Yes, Your Highness, remove it." The head healer almost dropped his instruments. "Prince Gabriel, Healer Morales is still completing his specialist training." Gabriel did not look away from me. "Are your hands steady?" "Yes, Then remove it. The silver fragment was small, but it had entered deeply. Gabriel watched my face as I worked. Most patients looked away from pain. Does it frighten you? He asked. Blood? Me? No. One corner of his mouth moved. You are either brave or dishonest. I'm working, I noticed. Gabriel did not make a sound. So when it was over, he looked at the fragment resting in the tray. What is your name? Javier Morales. As though he intended to remember. Not yet. Gabriel found reasons to visit the clinic. An old scar that had never troubled him before. The senior healers believed he respected my skill. He respected my refusal to flatter him. Sit. Drink this. You need rest. No. Being an alpha does not make you immune to infection. He listened more often than he argued. Soon he began waiting for me after my shifts. We walked through the palace gardens at night, where security guards pretended not to see us. Gabriel told me about the crown. How every friendship was examined for ambition. I told him about my parents. Our lives had almost nothing in common. With me, Gabriel was not the future king. With him, I was not simply an Omega healer expected to marry quietly and remain grateful for protection. Then we became something neither of us was brave enough to name. The night Gabriel first kissed me was not the night his father chose Elena Marquez. It happened months earlier, during a storm that split an old cedar in the palace garden and sent half the royal guard running towards the southern wall. Gabriel came to my rooms after midnight with rain in his hair and blood drying across his knuckles. What happened? A disagreement. With the wall? The wall was less stubborn than my father. I shut the door behind him. For the future king, it could have become evidence that his judgment was compromised. Gabriel knew that. Sit, I said. The room smelled of wet wool, antiseptic herbs, and the cold night he had carried inside with him. What did you argue about? I asked. My life. That seems broad. Father prefers broad ownership. Gabriel wore authority easily in public. He has begun discussing marriages again, he said. I wrapped clean cloth around his hand. He has always discussed marriages. This time he has begun using names. I kept my face bent over his fingers. That was always going to happen. You say that, as though knowing a blade exists makes it hurt less when it enters. I say it because I do not know what else to give you. His uninjured hand touched my wrist, asking. The storm sounded against the windows. Tell me to leave, he said. You should leave. That is not the same thing. No. His eyes dropped to my mouth. I had watched those eyes turn council chambers silent. I had watched soldiers straighten when he entered a courtyard. That night, they held no command at all. Javier. I kissed him first. His breath caught. Then his arms closed around me with a care that hurt more than urgency would have. Gabriel kissed like a man who had spent his life being watched and had finally found a room without witnesses. The first kiss was rain, salt, and the faint metallic taste of blood from his split lip. He stayed until the storm weakened. He told me he wanted a small house far from the capital. I told him he would last 3 days before organizing the neighboring farms into a defensive council. At dawn, he picked up the ring and stared at it for a long time. Then he put it back on. There were rooms where Gabriel could remove the crown. After that, he came whenever he could do so without bringing danger directly to me. Once he climbed the clinic wall because his father's guards had been stationed outside my corridor. You could have broken your neck, I whispered when I pulled him through the window. I assessed the distance. You are bleeding. A minor error in the assessment. He knew I forgot to eat when I worked late. I knew he slept badly after council meetings with his father. He brought me oranges from the royal kitchens, because they were difficult to find in winter. I left sleeping draughts in the pocket of his patrol coat, because he would not take them if I handed them to him in daylight. Love did not arrive through declarations. One night, after a border attack left Gabriel gone for 9 days, he came directly to me before reporting to his father. There was dried blood beneath his collar that did not belong to him. He stood inside my door and simply looked at me. He kissed me with both hands around my head, breathing my name between kisses, as though he had used it to find his way home. "Tell me you are real," he said. "I am here. Tell me again. I am here." Our scents rose in the warmth of the room, pine and smoke folding into crushed herbs, and the soft sweetness of Omega heat held carefully beneath discipline. Gabriel kissed the skin below my ear where a permanent mark might one day have rested. "Tell me to stop," he whispered. A bond with a royal alpha could have destroyed every quiet thing I had built for myself. Nothing permanent was placed on my skin. But when morning came, Gabriel's hand rested over my heart, and his scent lived in the sheets around us. Still we had loved each other there. 7 months of hidden doors, stolen meals and nights, when Gabriel risked more than either of us admitted to reach me. Then his father chose Elena Marquez. Gabriel came to the clinic after midnight with no injury. I knew before he spoke. There was a stillness in him that only appeared when duty had already defeated desire, and he was searching for a kinder name for surrender. "My father has made the agreement," he said. "Elena Marquez?" "Yes. A strong match," I said. "Do not speak to me like a council advisor." "How should I speak?" "Like yourself. Myself would tell you that princes do not become ordinary men, simply because ordinary choices become painful. You think I have a choice? I think you are about to make one. Tell me not to marry her. Would you listen?" I stepped away before he could touch me. "No, Javier. You're getting married to someone else. I have not married her yet." "That is not the defense you think it is." The hurt in his face was immediate. "My father will come after you if I refuse. Then say that is why you are doing it. Do not call it helplessness. I am trying to protect you. And I am protecting what remains of me." His eyes shone with anger and grief. "You want me to walk away from this room and never come back? I want you not to belong to her in public and come to me in the dark. That is not what you are. Then what am I?" He did not answer quickly enough. There were answers in his face. The only person before whom he could remove the ring. Gabriel did not move. "If I leave," he said, "I do not know how to become someone who does not love you. I am not asking you to stop. What are you asking? To live with the choice you are making without using me to soften it." He stood outside my door for several minutes after I closed it. I heard his breathing through the wood. He returned once before the wedding. I refused to let him inside. After that, he respected the boundary because I had given him no other way to respect me. Gabriel married Elena in the 8th month. He did not look at me. Elena became pregnant 3 months after the wedding. The child would bind the Castillo and Marquez pacts through blood and secure the succession. I requested a transfer before the royal medical team was announced. The request reached the head physician. It also reached Gabriel. He fought to place me on Elena's team with an intensity that made the senior healers uncomfortable and Elena observant. "Healer Morales has asked to return to the Southern Clinic," Dr. Esteban Cruz said. Cruz had served the Castillo family for 20 years. "The request is denied. Your Majesty, there are other healers qualified to oversee the Queen's pregnancy." Then Elena shifted in her chair, and he remembered the room around us. "My wife deserves the best healer available," he said. "Not because he used it cruelly. Because he placed it carefully between us. Like a blade he expected both of us to respect." "I am not a specialist in royal pregnancies," I said. "You identified 2 maternal blood disorders. Dr. Cruz's department missed last winter. That does not mean. It means you stay. Her treatment belongs to her," I said. "Not to you." Cruz looked offended on behalf of the throne. Elena looked interested. Gabriel turned to her. "Do you want Morales on your medical team?" That was the first thing Elena noticed. Gabriel had not merely respected my skill. He had fought for my presence, as though removing me from the palace would cost him something he could not admit. I never remained alone with him. I called him Your Majesty, even when his voice softened around my name. When he entered a room, I stepped back rather than closer. Whatever history she suspected, she saw that I would not turn her marriage into a corridor through which Gabriel and I continued meeting. The third thing she noticed came from another alpha. Dr. Adrian Vega joined the team during the 5th month of her pregnancy. He came from the Eastern Pax with a reputation for recognizing blood disorders other physicians missed. He was younger than Cruz, broad-shouldered and calm, with the unusual habit of listening before speaking. The first time he read my notes, he went through them twice. "You tested for wolfsbane exposure?" "Yes. The levels are below the recognized danger threshold. They are below the threshold for a single dose. You think it is cumulative. I think someone expects us to examine every result separately." He arranged the reports by date. The other physicians had called my concern excessive. Adrian did not. "If we place them in sequence, the increase is almost regular," he said. "Every 4 days, his finger stopped over the treatment chart. That coincides with the restorative injections. For the first time in weeks, I was speaking to someone who did not require me to prove a pattern existed before agreeing to look at it." "You copied the original results by hand," he said. "The official numbers changed twice. You expected someone to alter them. I expected someone to protect themselves." A faint smile touched his mouth. "I was told you were difficult. You were told correctly. I was also told you were brilliant." The door opened before I could answer. Gabriel entered with Elena beside him. He saw Adrian first. Then he saw how close the Alpha stood beside me over the reports. Nothing obvious changed in his expression. His scent sharpened beneath royal discipline. "Dr. Vega, Your Majesty. Healer Morales, Your Majesty." Then he turned to Adrian. "I understood you were examining the Queen." We. Healer Morales identified a pattern. "I am confirming it. Javier does not need his conclusions confirmed." Adrian did not react defensively. "Every conclusion should be confirmed," he said. "Especially when the evidence suggests someone has been poisoning the Queen and her unborn child." "You believe him?" "I believe the evidence." "That was not what I asked, Gabriel," Elena said softly. "Dr. Vega is doing exactly what you appointed him to do." Gabriel crossed the room. He stopped too close to me, but near enough for memory to enter the space between us. "Have the injections been stopped?" he asked. "Yes." "By whose authority?" "Mine." "You cannot countermand the head physician." "I can prevent him from harming his patient." Gabriel's expression tightened. He glanced toward the door before lowering his voice. "Cruz does not need to prove you wrong. He only needs to convince the council that his authority was undermined by someone acting under royal protection. So this is about protecting the hierarchy?" "It is about protecting you," he said. "If Cruz removes you from the team, I may not be able to bring you back without turning this into a dispute between the physicians, the council, and the crown. Then Elena may die while everyone debates who has the right to save her. He will not be removed. You cannot promise that." Gabriel held my gaze, but the certainty had left his face. "That decision belongs to the Queen." I knew exactly how far I could challenge him before his pride became anger. Elena saw it. Adrian saw enough. Gabriel turned towards Elena. "Do you want Morales to remain in charge of your treatment?" Elena looked at the copied reports, the sealed samples, and the medicine I had ordered removed despite Cruz's objections. "Yes," she said. "Javier stays." Relief moved through Gabriel too quickly for a king discussing staffing. Elena noticed that too. Adrian gathered the samples. "I will compare these with the first trimester records. I already requested them," I said. "And they are missing." Medical records do not disappear. In this palace, many things disappear when powerful people need them to. Pain moved across his face before he concealed it. As Adrian passed me, he said quietly, "You should eat before the next examination. I am not hungry." That was not a medical question. Gabriel heard him. His scent sharpened enough for every wolf in the room to notice. Adrian paused and looked at him. "Dr. Vega," I said. "The records." "Yes, Healer Morales." He left with a smile he was wise enough to hide from the king. Elena waited until the door closed. "You were jealous," she told Gabriel. "I was concerned about professional boundaries." Dr. Vega touched a table very close to Javier. He was reading. He could read from the other side. I stared at Gabriel. So you appointed him because you wanted another opinion? I did not appoint him to breathe against your neck. He was not breathing against my neck. He was close. Gabriel realized what he had revealed. I have counsel business. He left without looking at me again. After the door shut, I began arranging medicine bottles because my hands needed something to do. Elena watched me. Her hand rested over her stomach. And you will not use me either. You are my patient. I am his wife. You are still my patient. My refusal to exploit it made her continue looking. The fourth thing Elena noticed was that I kept protecting her when no one rewarded me for it. Her fevers came every fourth night. Cruz called them a difficult but ordinary pregnancy. The first samples came back clean. The old king accused me of creating panic. I examined her cosmetics, bath oils, and medicines. I copied every result by hand before returning the records to the archive. I slept in the clinic twice, because I did not trust the night staff to administer her injections. One evening, Elena found me in the kitchen, opening sealed jars beneath a single lamp. "You believe someone is poisoning me," she said. "I believe something is entering your body that should not be there. The others say the readings are normal. The others are wrong. Gabriel believes you. He believes the evidence." "No," she said, "he believes you. That does not make me correct. It made me notice you. I have watched him follow you with his eyes," she said. "He has never looked at me that way. I am sorry. Do not apologize for something you are trying very hard not to use." She moved closer to the table. "I've watched you keep 3 steps between you whenever he enters a room. I've watched you call him Your Majesty when he says your name, as though he wants you to remember another life. That is appropriate. It is painful. That does not make it inappropriate." Then she looked at the food samples. "You have every reason to resent me. You did not arrange your marriage alone. You have every reason to resent this child. He is innocent. You could decide Gabriel deserves to lose something after what he took from you." Elena watched me absorb the words. "But you have done none of those things," she said. "You have protected us while asking nothing from him. I am doing my work. No. Duty would allow you to accept Cruz's conclusion and go home. If Gabriel trusts you, I trust you. You should not base your safety on his feelings. I am not. His feelings made me look. Your choices told me what I was seeing." That was the first time Elena and I understood each other. During the 6th month, the palace performed a royal resonance test. Royal bloodlines, however, carried stronger markers. The results showed that Elena's child was male, carried the Castillo mark, and possessed a dominant Omega resonance. Omega born. The report should have been sealed between the Queen, the King, and the Medical Council. Instead, Dr. Cruz gave a copy to Valeria Marquez within an hour. Valeria was Elena's mother. She had helped build the marriage alliance and expected her daughter to produce an alpha heir her family could influence. An Omega son could still inherit under old law, but only through council approval. Salazar and other traditionalists intended to prevent that approval. The poisoning had begun before the test because Valeria had paid Cruz to perform an earlier illegal screening from Elena's blood. That first test showed the same result. They tried to end the pregnancy quietly. When Elena survived the initial doses and the child continued growing, they changed the plan. They would weaken him before birth, kill him afterwards, and call the death a natural consequence of a difficult pregnancy. If anyone questioned the poison, the evidence would lead to me. Copies of my formulas appeared in Cruz's records under dates I had never written. Commander Alonso Varela transferred guards loyal to Elena away from the birthing wing. Consul Ricardo Salazar gave those transfers royal authority, and the old king, Gabriel's father, sealed the resonance result because he feared the Pax would see an Omega-born heir as weakness. He did something more common among powerful men. Elena learned pieces of the plan through a maid who overheard her mother and Cruz arguing. She could not tell Gabriel safely. Her attendants reported to Valeria. Varela controlled access to the king. Even Gabriel's personal guard had been reduced under the excuse of heightened security. So Elena built a smaller system inside theirs. Rosa Delgado, her senior nurse, coordinated it. 4 guards answered to Elena personally. Captain Tomas Herrera had protected her since childhood. Samuel Ortega carried messages between the palace and Elena's remaining allies. Their purpose was not to steal the heir. If the child was threatened, they would move him to a secure chapel and reach Gabriel through a commander outside Varela's control. Javier Morales was their final safeguard. I did not know this until the night of the birth. Elena chose me because she had watched Gabriel trust me beyond reason, and watched me refuse to use that trust for myself. Her operation contained only 5 people, because every additional person created another point of betrayal. She had corrupt guards in royal uniforms, servants near the birthing wing, a physician prepared to certify death, a clerk with documents already written, soldiers on every road, and a body small enough to burn beyond identification. She did not plan a murder. She planned an official history. The child was born during a winter storm. The palace lost electricity twice that night. Elena labored for 9 hours. That night it was useful to the conspirators. When the baby arrived, he was silent. For 3 terrible seconds, the room stopped. Then I cleared his airway. The sound was thin but alive. Elena collapsed against the pillows. I wrapped him and placed him beside her. Elena looked at the mark and began to cry. "They know," she whispered. "Who?" "My mother. Salazar. Cruz." The baby's breathing changed before she could say more. Poison. The same substance that had been entering Elena's body had been placed in the drops Cruz ordered for the child's lungs. I threw the bottle against the wall. Rosa sealed the chamber. No one enters. Rosa moved to the door. Mara Reyes appeared from the private passage. She was not assigned to the medical wing. Elena caught my wrist. "If the doors close, go with Rosa." "What are you talking about? Please, tell Gabriel." "I have tried. Try again. You are the only person in this palace he trusts more than the people around him. That is not enough reason to give me his child." "No," she said. "The reason is that you have protected mine when loving his father gave you every excuse not to." The fire had been staged in the archive and the servants' wing at the same time. Guards abandoned their posts under Varela's emergency order. Men wearing royal insignia entered the medical floor. Mara locked the passage behind them. Rosa lifted the baby while I prepared the antidote. "They are not palace guards," Rosa said. "They wore palace colors." The outer door shook beneath an impact. Elena reached beneath her pillow and gave Rosa a sealed packet. "Take him to Tomas." Rosa nodded. I injected the antidote into the child's thigh. His cry weakened but did not stop. "He needs monitoring," I said. "Then come," Rosa answered. "I cannot leave the Queen. You are leaving for me." "Now." Rosa entered the private passage with the child beneath her coat. I followed because he would die without a healer. Behind us, Mara Reyes held the door alone. The passage opened beneath the old chapel stairs. Captain Tomas Herrera waited with 2 guards. "They intercepted the message," Tomas said. "The southern route is compromised." "Where is Daniel?" Rosa asked. "The stables were taken before the alarms. He may be alive." Those 2 words followed me for years. The baby convulsed against Rosa's chest. I took him and listened to his heart while walking. A royal guard stepped into the tunnel ahead of us. He carried an arrest order. My name appeared across the top. The royal heir had not yet been declared dead. The order already accused me of poisoning him. Proof that my guilt had been prepared before the crime. Tomas killed the guard before he could shout. I stared at the document on the floor. "We go to Gabriel," I said. "We cannot," Tomas answered. "He is the king. He is surrounded by Varela's men." Salazar ordered his personal guard confined after a supposed assassination threat. "Then we reach him through the council chamber. That is where they want the child taken." The Queen gave an order. I did not agree to disappear with the royal heir. You agreed when you kept him breathing. The tunnel exit opened into snow. Valeria's soldiers were waiting near the laundry wall. Not two men on an empty road. A killing team with royal insignia, covered wagons and orders no honest guard would question. Tomas's remaining people attacked to create a path. We ran towards the old hunting road. Rosa stumbled. I caught her with one arm and held the child with the other. Captain Herrera reached the abandoned chapel with us, blood covering half his coat. Quinn said you were the last door, he told me. What does that mean? It means if every other door closed, we were to give him to you. I cannot protect him from an army. No, Tomas said. But you will protect him from becoming a political decision. Outside, wolves moved through the trees. He pressed Elena's packet into my hand. It contained the original resonance result, the child's birth record, and a letter written in Elena's hand. Javier, you know my son is Omega-born. My mother believes that makes him disposable. Salazar agrees. Cruz has been poisoning us. Varela controls the guards. Gabriel may hate you for taking him. He may hate me for asking, but I have watched the way he trusts you, and I have watched the way you protect what is right even when it hurts you. The chapel door shook. There is a drainage path beneath the altar. It reaches the river. You are coming with us. Find Daniel if you can. Find Samuel. Tell Elena we kept the path open. Tell the boy his mother fought. Tomas Herrera shifted before the wood struck the floor. Rosa pulled open the stone hatch beneath the altar. We descended while fighting began above us. The tunnel ended at the frozen river. We crossed beneath the storm with the baby hidden against my chest. He was quiet by then. Behind us the chapel burned. By dawn the palace announced that the royal heir had died. A tiny body was cremated before any independent physician could examine it. Captain Herrera was named a traitor. By noon my name had been attached to the murder. Gabriel signed the final order himself. He had been shown the prepared evidence, the false body and testimony that I had fled from the birthing wing carrying his poisoned son. Grief did what the conspirators expected. It made speed feel like justice. I saw his signature years later. Meet me after midnight. That signature appeared beneath a command authorizing my death. Rosa and I tried to reach Gabriel 3 times during the first 2 years. The first messenger vanished. The second returned with a royal response ordering me to surrender the child to Salazar's office. The third attempt led hunters to the village where we were hiding. After that, I understood that someone stood between us and every road to the king. I did not know whether Gabriel was trapped behind that system or part of it. Not when I was accused. Not when I was exiled. When a poisoned child rested against my heartbeat and trusted me without knowing my name. I took Gabriel Castillo's son and ran. If you are enjoying the story so far, please comment, like and share the video, and subscribe to BL Heartstring Stories. I raised Mateo in villages where people did not ask questions. Rosa traveled with us for the first 2 years. Then she disappeared while gathering medicine. I found blood near the road. After that, I trusted no one. Mateo grew. He was a quiet child. He loved books, hated onions, and asked questions faster than I could answer them. When he was 6, he asked why other children had mothers. When he was 8, he asked why we moved so often. When he was 10, he asked whether I was truly his father. I told him the truth slowly. I told him another family had given him life. I told him danger had separated them. Did they want me? He asked. Your mother wanted you alive? And my father? I don't know. It was the most painful, honest answer I had. We returned because Mateo became ill. His first shift began too early. His wolf fought his Omega nature, creating fever and violent seizures. He needed royal blood treatment. The medicine existed only in the capital. On the 3rd night of his fever, Mateo gripped my shirt and whispered, "Don't let me die." I returned to Gabriel. Now we stood at the northern gate while the guards knelt in the snow. Gabriel took another careful step forward. Is he ill? Sweat darkened the hair near his forehead despite the cold. He needs treatment, I said. What treatment? Royal blood stabilization. His gaze moved to Mateo's trembling hands. Why wasn't I told? By whom? The question struck where I intended. Gabriel turned to the captain. Prepare the medical wing. You are both coming to the palace. No. The guards lifted their heads. Gabriel's power pressed against the air again. Mateo moved closer to me. He goes to the medical wing, I said. I stay with him. You are under arrest. Then arrest me beside his bed. Gabriel stared at me. You return after 15 years carrying my son, and you believe you can give me conditions? Yes. Why? Because he doesn't trust you. A larger part was ashamed of that satisfaction. Gabriel looked at Mateo. Do you trust him? Mateo did not hesitate. With my life. Gabriel closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, the king had returned. Javier will remain with the boy, he told the guards. No one separates them. And the arrest order? Gabriel looked directly at me. Suspended. Suspended isn't withdrawn, I said. No. Then I still don't trust you. You shouldn't. Before I could respond, Mateo's knees gave way. I caught him before he struck the ground. Mateo. His body convulsed in my arms. Gabriel reached us in seconds. Don't touch him, I said. He's my son. He doesn't know your scent. Gabriel froze. For an alpha, scent could calm a child of his blood. Gabriel lowered himself into the snow. Mateo, he said, I'm going to help your father carry you. Mateo looked at me. Only then did Gabriel place one arm beneath the boy's shoulders. For the first time in 15 years, Gabriel and I stood close enough to feel each other breathe. Gabriel felt it too. Between us, our son burned with fever. The palace medical wing looked almost exactly as I remembered, but the smell remained the same. The moment we arrived, 6 healers surrounded Mateo. I refused to release him until they explained every medicine they intended to use. The head physician was an older beta named Dr. Luis Ortega. His hand stopped over the medical tray. Healer Morales. Doctor. Then Mateo convulsed again. He examined Mateo's pupils, listened to his heart, and pressed his fingers to the royal mark. The bloodlines are fighting, he said. I know. How long since the first symptoms? 8 days. You waited too long. I crossed 3 territories while carrying a boy who couldn't remain awake for more than an hour. Ortega glanced at Gabriel. The king stood near the door, silent. Can you treat him? Gabriel asked. Yes, but the stabilization requires direct royal blood. Take mine. It isn't only blood. Explain. The donor must form a temporary parental bond during the transfusion. The boy's wolf has to recognize the blood is safe. Gabriel looked at Mateo. He is my son. Biologically, Ortega said. But his wolf doesn't know you. I saw the words strike Gabriel. He stepped closer to the bed. What happens if his wolf rejects me? The seizure may worsen, and if we do nothing, he dies. Mateo's eyes opened. I took his hand. You're not dying. You just said. I said what happens if we do nothing. We're not doing nothing. He looked past me towards Gabriel. For the first time he studied the Alpha King without anger. Will it hurt? Gabriel answered. Yes, he continued before I could object. But I won't leave. Mateo looked back at me. Will you stay too? I'll be beside you. Both of you? Yes. Then do it. The healers prepared the transfusion. Gabriel removed his coat and rolled up his sleeve. A nurse inserted the needle into his arm. His blood flowed through the tube, dark and rich with alpha power. His back arched. Mateo, listen to me. Too close. Gabriel moved beside the bed. Tell me what to do. Give him your scent slowly. How? Talk to him. Tell him something true. Gabriel looked lost. The Alpha King of 7 northern packs had commanded armies and negotiated treaties, but he did not know how to speak to his son. Mateo, he began. I am Gabriel Castillo. Not your title, I said, not your name. Something true. I saw panic in his eyes. Then he lowered his head near Mateo's hand. I kept your room, he said. Gabriel continued. Knew everyone thought I was mad. They told me to close it. They told me grief had made me weak. Scent entered the room carefully. I left the cradle where it was. Your blanket too. Every year on your birthday I put something new inside. Gabriel noticed. The first year it was a wooden wolf. The second, a red ball. The third, a book I thought you might like when you learned to read. I bought gifts for a dead child because it was easier than accepting there would never be a day when you opened them. The blood moved through the tube. Gabriel placed his hand near Mateo's butt, did not touch him. The blood moved through the tube. Gabriel placed his hand near Mateo's, but did not touch him. I didn't know you were alive, he whispered, but I never stopped being your father. Mateo opened his eyes. Tears had gathered at the corners. You signed the order to kill him. Yes. Mateo swallowed. Why? Because I believed he had killed you, and if you knew, I would have burned every pack between us to find you. Mateo closed his eyes again. His fingers moved across the sheet until they touched Gabriel's. Gabriel stopped breathing. Then Mateo held on. The transfusion lasted 2 hours. Gabriel never moved. When it was over, Mateo's fever had fallen. It should have felt like peace. Gabriel looked across the bed at me. What happened that night? I glanced at Mateo. He needs rest. I've waited 15 years. So have I. Then tell me why you took him. I was tired enough to welcome it because your wife asked me to. Gabriel stared at me. Elena? She knew her family intended to kill him. That is impossible. She wrote a letter. Where is it? Hidden. Convenient. The word cut more deeply than it should have. Careful, I said. 15 years, Javier. 15 years believing my son was dead. 15 years believing you had murdered him and disappeared. You think I enjoyed running? You think I wanted to raise a sick child alone while Hunter searched every village? You could have contacted me. How? You knew ways into the palace. Your father controlled them. My father died 12 years ago, and Elena's family controlled the rest. Gabriel rose. The chair scraped against the floor. You knew me. I knew the man who married someone else because his father told him to. That is not the same. No, it is worse. Because when the time came to choose between me and your crown, you already taught me what you would do. Ortega and the nurses had left. Only Mateo's steady breathing stood between us. Gabriel lowered his voice. You believe I would have allowed them to kill my child? I believed you would ask for proof while they prepared the grave. The accusation drained the anger from his face. With the truth as I had lived it. You should leave, I said. This is my palace. This is his room. Gabriel looked at Mateo. What do you want from me? I want the arrest order withdrawn. That will happen after the council hears the evidence. No. No. I am not standing trial for saving your son. You disappeared with the heir to the throne. I saved a newborn from murder. So you hid him for 15 years. I kept him alive for 15 years. Gabriel paced once, then stopped. The council will demand answers. Let them demand. They may challenge Mateo's claim. He doesn't want your throne. He is the heir. He is a child. He is 15. That is a child. I was leading patrols at 15, and look how well that prepared you to express emotion. For 1 second, Gabriel almost smiled. The expression vanished before it fully appeared. I cannot make this disappear. I'm not asking you to. What are you asking? Stand beside the truth publicly. The same man. Public silence. Behind me, Gabriel said. Elena is alive. What? She left the capital 9 years ago, after her family attempted to force another pregnancy. She lives under guard at a monastery in the western mountains. You said she left. She had a breakdown. Is that what her family called it? Gabriel did not answer. Did you speak to her about the night Mateo disappeared? Many times. And she said she remembered nothing after the birth. She lied. Perhaps. You believed her silence, but not my innocence. I found your blood in the forest. Witnesses saw you carrying the child. Rosa was missing. The chamber contained poison from your medical cabinet. My cabinet had been broken into twice. I didn't know that. You didn't ask. I was grieving, so was I. That I had lost something too. Not only my home or my name. Mateo moved in his sleep. Gabriel sat again. When can I see the letter? When Mateo is strong enough to travel with me. You're planning to leave? Yes. No. The word came with alpha power. My body reacted before my mind did. Gabriel saw it and stepped back immediately. I'm sorry. I steadied myself against the bed. You don't get to command me. I know, do you? I won't stop you by force, but I am asking you not to take him away before I have the chance to know him. I looked at Mateo. I had answered carefully because I wanted to protect him. That truth was difficult to admit. But Gabriel was not dead. I won't decide for him, I said. Gabriel nodded. Mateo woke the following morning hungry enough to insult the hospital food. I took that as a good sign. He complained about the porridge, asked whether the palace had real bread, then stared when 3 servants arrived carrying enough breakfast for 10 people. Gabriel followed them. He had changed clothes, but not slept. You brought all this? I didn't know what you liked. Not onions. Gabriel glanced at the servants. Remove anything containing onions. Mateo looked amused. There aren't any onions. Good. That was a joke. Gabriel sat carefully. I'm learning. Mateo studied him while eating. Gabriel pretended not to notice. The resemblance between them was strongest when they tried to hide emotion. Same stubborn refusal to ask a question directly. Finally, Mateo said, Do I have brothers? Gabriel's hand stopped around his cup. No. Sisters? No. Did you marry again? No. Why? My marriage to Elena ended after you died. You thought I died. Yes. Did you love her? Gabriel took time before answering. I respected her. Sometimes I understood her. I failed her in ways I didn't recognize then. That isn't what I asked. A faint smile touched Gabriel's face. No, I did not love her as a mate should. Mateo nodded slowly. Did you love Papa? I nearly dropped the medicine bottle. Gabriel looked directly at me. Yes. Gabriel coughed to hide a laugh. For one brief moment, the room felt ordinary. Then the door opened. A woman entered, wearing a dark blue council robe. Gabriel stood. Teresa. Gabriel's younger aunt, and head of the royal council. She had been one of the few people in the palace who treated me with respect during my training. Her gaze settled on Mateo. Emotion moved through her face, quickly controlled. Javier Morales, councilwoman. You are required before the council at noon. He isn't well enough to be left alone, I said. The king will remain. No. Mateo placed his spoon down. I can speak for myself. The room seemed to remember that he was the heir, young lord. Don't call me that, Mateo. Papa stays with me. The council needs his testimony. Then meet here. That isn't how royal proceedings work. Mateo leaned back against the pillows. Then your proceedings can wait. Teresa looked at Gabriel. She returned her attention to Mateo. You are very much your father's son. Mateo glanced at me. Which one? Gabriel's mouth moved as though he might smile again. The council agreed to meet in a private chamber attached to the medical wing. 7 alphas, 2 betas, 1 omega, and Teresa. The omega counselor, Dr. Amira, watched me with calm interest. The others looked as though they were deciding whether to imprison me before or after lunch. Mateo sat beside me in a chair wrapped in a blanket. Gabriel remained on his other side. 15 years ago, Javier Morales disappeared with the newborn heir after the child was poisoned. Evidence linked him to the poison, the escape, and the disappearance of Nurse Rosa Delgado. I did not kill Rosa, I said. No one said you did. You were approaching it slowly. A few council members exchanged looks. You claim Elena Marquez asked you to take the child. Yes. Where's the proof? In a secure location. An older alpha named Ricardo Salazar struck the table with his palm. You arrive after 15 years and refuse to present evidence? I arrived carrying your living heir. That is evidence that the official account was false. It does not prove who took him. Mateo spoke. He took me. Salazar looked satisfied. Mateo continued. He took me away from people trying to kill me. You cannot remember that. No. I believe the man who raised me. That belief is not evidence. Neither was the evidence used to sentence him. The Omega counselor hid a smile. Gabriel looked at Mateo with unmistakable pride. Salazar noticed. Your Majesty, this proceeding cannot be influenced by sentiment. My son is not a sentiment. No one suggests. You implied his testimony matters less, because he trusts the Omega who saved his life. Salazar leaned back. I am protecting the throne. From whom? From a claimant raised outside our laws. The king stood. Choose your next words carefully. Gabriel. No. Let him answer. The boy is Omega born. His upbringing is unknown. His loyalties are divided. The northern packs may not accept him. Mateo stared at the table. His fierce expression reminded everyone that he was an heir. Before I touched him, Gabriel spoke. The northern packs accepted his blood 15 years ago. They believed he would present as Alpha. Then they accepted a fantasy, not my son. Mateo's claim does not depend on his secondary gender. It does not depend on where he was raised. He carries my blood, my mark, and the legal protection of the crown. And Morales? My order against Javier Morales is withdrawn, he said. Salazar began to object. Gabriel raised one hand. It was issued under false information. Until evidence proves otherwise, Javier is recognized as the man who preserved the heir's life. I had imagined hearing them. In some versions I felt vindicated. In others, I wept. A knot I had carried for 15 years finally allowed breath through it. The council meeting ended badly. Salazar walked out. Dr. Amira looked at Mateo. You have your father's courage, he taught me. When she left, Gabriel turned towards me. I should have said it years ago. Yes, I'm sorry. I need to bring you the letter, I said. Where is it? At the house where Mateo and I were staying. I'll send guards. No, Javier, I'll go. You were nearly captured crossing the border. I know the route. So do the people who followed you. What people? Gabriel looked at Teresa's closed door. Scouts found tracks behind yours. At least 6 wolves. Why didn't you tell me? Mateo was dying, and now? Now they know he is alive. For 15 years, our enemies had hunted us to erase evidence. Now Mateo had appeared publicly. Killing him would be more difficult, but controlling him might be possible. Who knows about the letter? Gabriel asked. Only Mateo. Did you tell anyone where it is? No. We go together. That is a terrible idea. I know. You are the king. Yes. You can't disappear into the southern territories. I've disappeared before. To meet me in gardens. This is different. Everything is different. We left before dawn with 4 guards. Mateo remained at the palace under Ortega's care. He objected until I threatened to ask the kitchen to put onions in every meal. Gabriel told him we would return within 2 days. Mateo looked at us both. Together? Yes, Gabriel said. Mateo pointed at him. Don't order Papa around. Gabriel looked offended. I won't. Mateo sighed. Gabriel did too. I'll try not to. The house where Mateo and I had lived stood beside an abandoned mill near the southern river. A roof I had repaired 3 times. Gabriel stood inside the doorway and looked around. This is where he grew up? One of the places. How many? 11. Gabriel turned towards me. 11 homes? Some for months. Some for years. I thought you had taken him to build another life. I did build another life. I imagined something easier. Why? Because I needed to believe you had chosen it. Behind it was a metal box. Inside were Elena's letter, Mateo's original birth record, poison samples, and a small silver bracelet that had been tied around his wrist. Gabriel picked up the bracelet. I chose this, I said, not because it was easy, because every other choice ended with him dead. Gabriel opened Elena's letter, then again. The silence in the room became unbearable. Finally he lowered the page. She knew. Yes, she knew her mother planned it, yes. And she never told me. She was afraid. She trusted the person you trusted and loved. Did she know about us? Yes, I think she did. I failed both of you. You did. I thought becoming king meant carrying every burden alone. It made you easy to isolate. My father taught me affection weakened authority. And you believed him. I believed survival required it. He no longer looked like a king. You signed my death order, I said. I know. Do you? I signed it 6 hours after they told me Mateo was dead. I hadn't slept. I hadn't seen his body. There was no body. They said you burned it. That was the story? Yes, and you believed them? I believed the poison was yours. I believed you had run. I believed every private moment between us had been part of some revenge I failed to see. Revenge for what? For marrying Elena. You thought I murdered a baby because you broke my heart? I was not thinking. No. You were grieving, and powerful men are allowed to turn grief into punishment. I searched for you after the order. To kill me? At first, yes. Then I found inconsistencies, he continued. Missing records. Guards transferred before questioning. Rosa's family paid to leave the territory. I began to doubt. How long? 2 years. 2 years before you questioned whether I was a murderer? 2 years before I had evidence strong enough to challenge my father, and after he died? Elena's family threatened war. I kept searching quietly. You searched quietly while Mateo and I ran loudly for our lives. I know. No, Gabriel. You don't know what it was like. Tell me. Tell me what I should have known. At first he cried every night. I had no milk, no money, and no safe place to sleep. Rosa stole formula from clinics. I treated strangers under false names. We slept in barns. Once, I held him beneath a bridge while hunters searched the road above us. When he was 4, he had pneumonia. I stayed awake for 6 days because I was afraid he would stop breathing if I closed my eyes. He learned to read there. He wrote your surname once because he found it inside an old history book. I burned the page before anyone could see. Gabriel looked as though each memory entered him like a blade. When he asked about you, I never called you a monster. I wanted to. I had earned the right, but I knew one day he might stand where you are standing now, and I didn't want my anger to make that choice for him. You gave him more mercy than I gave you. Yes. Gabriel crossed the room. I don't deserve forgiveness. No, I don't deserve you. No, but I love you. The confession would have once changed my life. Love is not the same as courage, I said. I know. Do you? I'm trying to learn. Before I could answer, a gunshot shattered the window. Gabriel threw himself against me. A silver bullet struck the wall. The guards outside shouted. Another shot came through the door. Gabriel dragged me behind the stone fireplace. Are you hurt? No. He drew a blade from beneath his coat. The smell of smoke entered the room. They're burning the house, I said. Another shot struck the stone above us. Gabriel pressed his back to the wall. Can you reach the rear window? It opens into the river path. Go. I'm not leaving you. Even then, even with bullets entering the house, the old pain appeared between us. You left once, he said. You made me. This time, I said, we leave together. 2 guards were already down. Gabriel and I ran towards the river. Behind us the house caught fire. Mateo's childhood drawings. The bed where I listened to him breathe through fevers. Gabriel caught my arm. Javier, my life is in there. No, he said. Your life is waiting at the palace. A woman stood across the frozen water. Her gray hair moved in the wind. I recognized her from royal portraits. Valeria Marquez. Gabriel, she called. He stepped in front of me. You should have remained in the West. You should have produced another heir, enough that claws extended from his hands. You poisoned my son. I protected the throne. You tried to murder a newborn. I prevented an Omega from weakening 7 packs, and you turned him into a peasant. I taught him not to measure people by what they were born as. That lesson will get him killed. No, you will. Valeria raised one hand. A man dragged someone from behind the trees. Rosa, alive. She had a chain around her neck. Rosa? Javier? Gabriel caught me. Valeria smiled. She has been very useful. 15 years of silence requires discipline. You kept her alive. She knew too much to release, and too little to kill. Rosa shook her head. I'm sorry, you have nothing to apologize for, I said. Valeria's hand tightened around the chain. Give me the letter and the birth record. In return, she lives. Gabriel whispered, Don't. Rosa heard him. She killed me anyway. Valeria pulled the chain. Rosa fell to her knees. I felt the metal box beneath my coat. Evidence. The truth we had carried for 15 years. Javier. I know. Valeria smiled. Throw it. I looked at Rosa. Then she looked down. Scut the ice beneath Valeria's feet. A crack ran across the frozen river. Thin knot towards Valeria. Rosa twisted the chain around the arm of the man holding her, and pulled. Gabriel shifted. His wolf exploded from his body, enormous and black, crossing the river before Valeria could react. I ran towards Rosa. The man holding her fell through the ice. Rosa rolled away. Valeria drew a silver blade. Gabriel struck her. They slid across the frozen surface. I reached Rosa and broke the chain with a stone. Behind us, wolves fought along the riverbank. Can you run? I asked. I've been waiting 15 years. Valeria had driven the silver blade into Gabriel's shoulder. I shifted. Pain tore through me as my bones changed. My wolf had not fought in years. I crossed the ice and struck Valeria before the blade fell. She was stronger than she looked. Valeria drew a silver blade. Gabriel struck her. They slid across the frozen surface. I reached Rosa and broke the chain with a stone. Behind us, wolves fought along the riverbank. Can you run? I asked. I've been waiting 15 years. Valeria had driven the silver blade into Gabriel's shoulder. I shifted. Pain tore through me as my bones changed. My wolf had not fought in years. I crossed the ice and struck Valeria before the blade fell. She was stronger than she looked. Her claws cut across my side. Gabriel tried to rise. The current dragged at my body. I shifted back instinctively, searching for the surface. Valeria. Her face looked peaceful beneath the water. Then a dark shape struck her. Gabriel. His jaws closed around her arm. Gabriel emerged seconds later. Valeria did not. The river carried her beneath the frozen sheet. For several moments no one moved. Then the remaining attackers fled. Gabriel collapsed beside me. Blood spread across his shoulder. Stay awake. You came back. Don't speak. You came back for me. Gabriel. Rosa reached us with the guards. We carried him to the horses. The metal box had landed in the snow beyond the river. Gabriel's wound was deep. We returned to the palace before nightfall. I operated on him in the same medical room where we first met. He lay shirtless on the table. Blood ran down his side. History has a cruel sense of humor. The silver is close to the artery. I see it. Your hands are shaking. 15 years earlier, Gabriel had asked whether he frightened me. Not because of his power, because I understood what losing him would cost. Hold the light. When the silver finally came free, It struck the tray with the same small sound I remembered from our first meeting. Gabriel opened his eyes. "Did you remove it?" "Yes." "Are your hands still steady?" "They are now." His fingers moved weakly across the table until they touched mine. I allowed them to remain. The public inquiry began 6 days later. Gabriel surrendered control to an independent panel led by Dr. Amira, 2 outside judges and representatives chosen by Omega communities. Salazar called it a humiliation of the crown. Gabriel answered that the crown had humiliated itself. The hearings were broadcast across the northern territories. Alina returned from the western monastery and met Mateo privately before the first session. When the door opened, both of them were crying. Mateo took my hand, and after a moment Gabriel's. The evidence came piece by piece. Adrian produced the original resonance results, proving Valeria and Salazar knew Mateo was Omega-born before the poisoning became regular. Archive records showed that his death certificate and my arrest order had been prepared before his birth. Varela's transfer orders proved loyal guards were removed from the birthing wing and replaced by men paid through Marquez companies. Rosa testified about the tunnel, the staged fire, and the prepared arrest. Daniel Rivas and Samuel Ortega confirmed that Elena's protectors had been captured, tortured, or silenced. Cruz denied everything until Adrian produced the original laboratory seal, and Rosa identified the bottle used on the newborn. Then Cruz blamed Valeria. Varela blamed Salazar. Salazar blamed the dead king. Powerful men often discover obedience only when responsibility enters the room. The most painful evidence came from Salazar's private archive. Investigators found 6 letters I had sent Gabriel during exile. Every one had been intercepted. Gabriel brought them to me with shaking hands. "You called for me," he said. "I recognized the first page. Mateo is 6. He has your eyes. He asked today whether his father wanted him. I did not know what answer would hurt him least. I stopped writing because every letter placed him in danger. I never received them, but I lived every day as though you had. There was no defense against that truth. I knew that if the crown failed," she said, "Javier would still choose the life in front of him." The panel also found that Gabriel's father had suppressed my poisoning report and created a court where an Omega heir's death was treated as a political solution. Gabriel removed his father's honors and ordered the archive amended. "Death is not an acquittal," he said. The names of Tomas Herrera and Mara Reyes were restored. Daniel and Samuel received treatment and support. Rosa accepted leadership of a new office protecting medical witnesses. Then Gabriel stood before the Pax. "I failed my son, his mother, and the healer who saved them both. The crown failed every person who protected a child from people acting in its name." He looked towards Mateo. "Javier Morales did not steal the royal heir. He preserved his life. Blood made Mateo my son. Choice made Javier his father. The panel did not pardon me. A pardon would have implied guilt. It exonerated me unanimously and declared every order against me unlawful from the moment it was prepared. When Gabriel asked whether I wanted the original death order destroyed, I said no. Keep it where the next king can see it." Mateo added, "Put the new law beside it." Gabriel announced that inheritance would no longer depend on secondary gender. Royal medical evidence could not be sealed without independent review, and no ruler could issue a death order without trial. When a counselor accused him of rewriting generations of law for one boy, Gabriel answered, "No. I am correcting generations of cowardice because one boy survived it." Alina chose not to return to royal life. Mateo told her he wanted to know her slowly, and she accepted that answer. The harder question was what happened between Gabriel and me. Gabriel did not ask me to move into his rooms. He visited the clinic while I worked. He brought coffee and remembered how I took it. He listened when I told him not to interfere. He attended Mateo's lessons, even when the boy challenged him in front of advisors. He apologized without demanding forgiveness in return. One evening, 3 months after the hearing, I found Gabriel repairing the broken fence outside the house assigned to me near the palace. The Alpha King stood in mud with a hammer in one hand and a piece of wood in the other. "You have people for that," I said. "I know. You're holding the hammer incorrectly. It has one handle. That doesn't mean you understand it." I took the hammer from him. The old bond moved between us. Gabriel looked at the repaired section. "Mateo said the fence bothered you. It leaned. He said you complained about it every morning. I made an observation. He called it complaining. He spends too much time with you." Gabriel smiled. I had forgotten how much warmth changed his face. He sat on the low stone wall. I brought something. From his coat he removed a folded paper. The original arrest order. Across the bottom in new ink he had written, "What do we do with that?" he asked. "A prince waiting in a clinic. An Omega healer, pretending his heart could survive secrecy. They had also failed each other. We begin with the truth," I said. "I was afraid. I know. I chose the crown. I know. I signed your death order. I know. I cannot undo it. No. I would if I could. I know. What is your truth?" I watched Mateo crossing the garden in the distance with a pile of books beneath one arm. "My truth is that I spent 15 years hating you because hatred felt safer than missing you. I missed you every day. I know that now. And before? I thought you missed the man you believed I had been. I missed the man who told me being an alpha did not prevent infection. That was medically accurate. I missed the man who made me laugh when no one else dared. You rarely laughed. I had limited opportunities." Gabriel looked at my mouth, with memory. "May I kiss you?" he asked. 15 years earlier, he would not have asked. "Yes." His hand rose slowly to my face. He gave me time to move. Nothing like the desperate kiss in the clinic before his marriage. This one did not ask me to hide. It did not promise a future we were too frightened to claim. I loved him. And love, finally, was not being used as an excuse to avoid courage. When we separated, Mateo stood 10 feet away. We had not heard him approach. "This is uncomfortable." Gabriel cleared his throat. "How long have you been standing there?" "Long enough. You could have announced yourself. You're both wolves. I assumed you could hear." Mateo placed the books on the wall. "Does this mean Papa is moving into the palace?" "No," I said. Gabriel said eventually. "Possibly." Mateo sighed. "So you two wasted 15 years. I don't have time for this pace." "You're 15, I said. "Exactly. I may be old before anything happens." Gabriel laughed. It crossed the garden and startled 2 guards near the gate. Mateo stared at him, then he smiled. "It's not with a decree. With a broken fence, an awkward kiss, and a boy complaining that his fathers were moving too slowly." A year later, Gabriel and I stood once more at the northern gate as Mateo left to study the western packs. Before departing, he hugged us both, promised to write, and joked that we shouldn't fight while he was gone. As his carriage disappeared, Gabriel took my hand without hesitation. Mateo had changed more than a kingdom. He taught that fatherhood is earned, not granted by blood, that love must allow freedom, and that true strength is not defined by birth. He helped Gabriel and me heal from old choices, and showed us that family is built through love, trust, and commitment. People say I returned with the Alpha King's missing heir. The crown recognized his blood, but Mateo had already shown me what truly makes a family. When the road opened before us again, none of us walked it alone.